Good morning, everyone. This is Gopi Kandukuri, CEO of Saxon Technologies Inc. I'll be the moderator for today's webinar. Over 70% of the enterprise AI programs fail. Not because of technology doesn't work. It does, many times. The systems fail because of poor sequencing, absent governance, lack of change management, and those are all the things which was, treated afterthought. Today, we are going to hear from someone who didn't fail and who's going to share exactly what made the difference in his approach. Welcome you all. Thanks for your time today. A small note, today's session is for 60 minutes, and at the end of the day, audience can come up with the questions, and we will answer as many questions as possible. We have our guest, Aravind Kashyap, Chief Information Officer at Riddell Sports, a technology leader, innovation strategist, and a keynote speaker. Aravind is a seasoned technology executive with over 30 years of leadership experience in the IT industry. Throughout his career, he has held senior leadership positions in multiple global organizations. Aravind is at the forefront of digital transformation, leveraging so many cutting-edge technologies, enhancing operational efficiency, driving innovation, and reinforcing, particularly at Riddell, he has a high emphasis on the player safety at the American football industry. His leadership ensures that Riddell remains at the intersection of sports and technology, optimizing high performance and protection of athletes. Aravind, welcome to the webinar. Thanks for taking time today.
Thanks, Gopi. Thanks, Gopi, for the introduction. I know it's a long career. We have seen over the last 30 years different aspects of technology. And while I know we all want to be highly successful, we are successful because of what we do. There's a lot of lessons learned. And this particular session today, we're going to share lessons. We're going to share some of the learnings. We're also going to share what has really worked and what we want our IT leaders to take forward as well. So I'm really looking forward for this session. It's going to be a bit interactive, and obviously we'll take some questions at the end as well.
Thanks, Aravind. I'll set the context. Today's webinar is, how do we implement AI for a high-performing enterprises? We'll go into, the topics like, what are the functions, what are the systems, and, what made, the significant difference, and your decision-making process, and your convincing with the teams, and your conviction in, picking up certain things over others. So here is the first question, Aravind. When you decided to focus on AI as a starting point for the transformation, you pick sales as a department or other. What specifically made you see it a high impact function at Riddell?
That's interesting. So when we looked at it about a year and a half back, right, we had both sides of the equation. We had the crush cost side, we had the gross sales side, right? We looked at both sides of the equation. For our organization, sales made a lot of sense, given we are a sports equipment manufacturer. We work with football teams. There's roughly about 40,000 football teams in this country that we actually sell our products. And we looked at it in a much closer, deeper way. Sales is where I would say revenue meets friction, right? It's an intersection of revenue where revenue meets the friction. It's high frequency. It is decision heavy in many cases, and it's also data rich, and often with poor insights, right? When we look at our account managers and sales reps who are in the front end, working with our customers, it's often insight poor, right? And we see our reps spending more time on finding information rather than selling. And when I say selling, it's not about selling football equipment. It's also selling the performance of the equipment, selling the safety of the player who's actually going to wear that particular equipment. So we want our sales reps to spend more time with our customers rather than finding information. It's also where we saw sales reps taking time to take decisions. They were not able to prioritize the work, and it actually had a real revenue impact. So starting with sales, for us wasn't experimental. It was actually very intentional when we looked at the return on investment.
That's a amazing, thought process, Arvind. And I just want, when follow up on, every organization has multiple important functions. We generally saw, finance or operations or ITSM, the low hanging, low functional, some of the stuff which were, interrupted by AI early on. And we rarely hear the growth as the opportunity for implementing an AI. Was there any other functions in contention like operations, finance, customer experience? When what
And
made the sales win?
there were, as any organization, if you really look at, we look at things in a three dimension, right? Where, we have a dimension called follow the money, right? So that dimension will tell us
Awesome.
which business functions, right? For example, a supply chain, is an ability for us to reduce, the cost of supply chain, right? Or
Yeah.
make it more optimized. If it
Yeah.
is a technology, then is there a way to reduce the technology cost? So follow the dollars is one dimension of how we looked at it. The second dimension was follow the noise, right? Noise essentially means dissatisfaction within the organization, right? For example, in this case, in our sales organization, we had a lot of noise. The sales reps were dissatisfied. They were spending more time mining for information rather than selling our products. So there was a lot of noise within the organization. So follow the noise is a second aspect that we looked at. The third aspect we looked at is follow the compliance and say, hey, are there some things here that would absolutely must comply with, right? For example, equipment safety, right? That's a no, nobody can debate, right? The safety of the equipment is absolutely important because it protects the players, right? Financial governance and financial compliance. So we looked at use cases across the organization around the three dimensions, right? Follow the dollar, follow the noise, and follow the compliance. And the return on investment for us was more when we looked at the sales as a function rather than the other parts of the organization. Does not mean that we are not doing for others. We are now starting to expand our focus for other business functions, but sales gave us the maximum return on investment.
Awesome. That's a excellent decision-making process, Arvind. And while you're implementing, talking to the teams, what surprised you the most, when you implemented this for sales?
Yeah, so we did a time and motion study. So we didn't just go and just talk to two of our customer or two of our customer facing sales reps, right? We did a time and motion study. We looked at the day in the life of a salesperson, and really came back and said, hey, these are things that that we noticed were like, I wouldn't say surprising, kind of, looking back, maybe it kind of makes sense, but there were three or four that really stood out, right? The number one thing that stood out was time lost in navigating systems instead of engaging with our customers, right? So sales reps has, I don't know, between 4 to 5 different systems. There's order entry system, there's order management system, there's order confirmation system, there's an order delivery system. So think about all the systems that the
Yeah.
sales rep has to deal with. So time lost in navigating it rather than engaging the customers. That was like one aha moment for us. The second one was access to information across the reps in a very consistent way. There were some sales representatives that had access to data, access to information, maybe through back office maybe through things that they have done in the past, maybe the experience that they had with our organization. So inconsistent insights was a second thing that came out. The third one was a lot of tribal knowledge, right? Again, as an organization, we are also growing. We are hiring new sales representatives for different regions, and there are a lot of tribal knowledge because there are folks in our organization who've been there for 15, 20 years, right? So they can do things slightly different compared to somebody who's joined like a 2 months, 3 months, 6 months back, right? That was
Yep.
like a surprise for us, right? And I think that the fourth biggest surprise was a lot of the processes were broken, right? Because there was no intelligence built into the process. So some of the processes were broken. So when we did a time and motion study, those are the things that stood out as I know at that time it was surprise, but now if I look back and say it's kind of an obvious thing, if you're looking for as well.
Excellent, Arvind. I mean, the way we look at the AI in enterprise is very different from the AI for a regular user going onto the chat GPT. When AI is implemented, the solutions, the data is across multiple systems. The data is in the SaaS products, data warehouse, in the data lake, and several of the the documents and spread across 20 different systems. And if it's, I mean, it's obvious that the time saved for a sales rep when collecting the data from so many different systems, and the time saved is the real impact. And one follow-up question is for someone in a non-manufacturing business, what is the universal principle behind picking a first function to automate using the AI? What do you suggest?
Yeah, I think if you follow the three dimension or three cardinal rules that I told earlier, right? See if you can map things as follow the dollars. Where are we spending? Where are we earning and where are we spending? So if you to take those functions and say, hey, map it all, do a Pareto analysis of follow the dollars. The second one is follow the noise. Go
Yeah,
into your organization and figure out where are those friction points, where are those dissatisfaction points, right? And we call it as noise, right? In your organization, noise could be in customer service, noise could be in accounts payable, noise could be in accounts receivable, noise could be in warehouse inbound supplies. Just identify and do a Pareto on functions where there is dissatisfaction and noise. And then the third angle was is to really look at compliance. I think that should give you an intersection of what you think will have the maximum value for your organization.
excellent, Arvind. And once this is implemented, Arvind, I mean, one thing important could be for everybody, in the room. How did AI practically change the way the sales teams operated? And what did the sales reps day look like before versus after implementing the solution?
Yeah. So for example, let's say before implementing our solution, if a sales rep was in front of a customer, and typical questions the customer will have, hey, I placed an order. Tell me what is the status of the order, right? That's a very common question most customers will have, right? The sales rep will have to run some reports if they have access to the reporting system. Sales rep will have to pick up a phone, talk to a sales support organization, and relay the same question. Or they may have to call somebody in IT and say, hey, you know what, can you guys tell us? Or they have to call somebody in our manufacturing floor and say, hey, this particular order a customer is asking for, what is the status of it? That's a common question, right? Think about there are hundreds and hundreds of such simple insight questions that it will take time for a sales rep to get answers. Now, after our AI platform, we actually called it as Riddell Intelligent Platform, RIA. After our launch of RIA, now it's a matter of few seconds, and sometimes they don't even want the customer to ask the question. The sales reps are prepared to even answer the question before the customer is even asking, right? Things like invoices that are not being paid, orders that are being delivered, orders that are in progress, right? Number of items in an order. This season compared to last season. Simple question like, hey, the customer ordered X number of items last year. and you want to know whether the customers ordered the same items or they are ordering less or more, right? Obviously, if they ordered less, you want to sell more. If they ordered more, great, we keep the customer happy. Simple things like that, it's all matter of few seconds for our sales reps now with our AI platform, because the underneath the platform, it is has an ability. What we have done underneath the platform is an ability to bring enterprise data to the platform to drive these kind of information. Now, what we've also done is not just to give the information, which is great. Obviously, we want our sales reps to have the information, but we've also started to drive insights. Now it can start correlating things together, right? Well, let's say I ask for something, AI doesn't stop there. It'll tell you insights into what else is going on. And then it also gives you a call to action. We call it as the next best action to that the sales rep needs to take. So it's now driving towards a decision making capability, and AI is helping them to make those decisions as well. So the new world for our sales reps is, it just starts on the day. The first thing in the morning, Ria wakes up, right? And not just the sales reps to do things, right? And be prepared for the customer so that they don't have to be waiting for customer to ask. Now you are well prepared to answer those questions that the customer will have, and also gives you more time to work with the customer on selling other products that we were not selling, because we have other category products that we want our sales reps to sell. Now they have more time to sell that as well.
Amazing, Arvind. And one important thing is you implemented this solution. It's been a while, and you have outcomes. You have some measurables.
Yeah.
What outcomes stood out the most after rollout? Is it efficiency, accuracy, the speed or adoption? Do you have any numbers? Do you mind sharing them?
Yeah. We have been constantly going back and measuring the outcome of this particular platform. We have looked at from various dimensions. I think those dimensions you said absolutely make sense. It's a reduction in time. We're seeing upwards
Wow.
of 25% reduction in time. That much time is now available for the sales reps to do other things that they don't have to now start mining for information. The second one is speed of decision making, right? More than 20%
Yeah.
improvement in decision making speed. The third one is adoption, which we constantly look at. I was just looking at today before I came onto the call that we have close to about 125 users on the system right now as we speak. All right, that's a very very high number of adoption when it comes to the sales team using the system, and between 1500 to 1700 prompts a day, right? That's a significant amount of information that the sales reps are asking for. So I think we've seen all the three outcomes. Efficiency gain of about 25%, more than 25%. Speed of more than 20% more speed, and high adoption for our user base.
That's amazing, Arvind. So one follow-up thing is, right. So I mean, sales has a huge hierarchy, and you have sales reps, you have managers, directors, VPs. You know how the the system after implementing it, how did it brought a lot of visibility into call to actions and information to the management, information to the executives, how that transpired using the AI.
Yeah, yeah. There's no secret sauce, Gopi. I mean, what we have seen is, we've been telling this for as IT leaders, we've been telling this for ages, right? Since our ERP time, we've always said the
Yeah.
same thing, right? Your adoption is as much as what the top. It has to be top down, right? Our top level leaders, in fact, you'll be surprised. Our executive team, including our CEO, uses RIA every day, right?
Yeah.
They don't have to ask me, they don't have to ask anybody to get that, right? They are using RIA on a daily basis, right? Our head of sales uses RIA, our CEO uses RIA, our CFO uses RIA. When I use RIA, obviously, every day. So it's a top down, and that message is very, very clear, right? That's number one, right? It's top down and the message is very clear. The second thing is we did find some champions. So within any organization, obviously you'll have to find champions. within our sales organization, we found some champions, some of them who are advanced in their way of working. And we started making them communicate to the other sales team members on how they have been able to use RIA. So we have a way by which the sales reps can communicate to other sales reps. So we have what we call as a champion circle. So that has helped quite a bit. And then the third thing that we have done is constant messaging, right? This requires everyday messaging on the usage, on the benefits, on the kind of information that is available, and find every opportunity to communicate that, because more you communicate, more I see is the adoption and the change that is required. But we've actually crossed the curve. You guys know that we have crossed the curve right now.
Yeah.
We are right now, in fact, at Riddell, we call this as three zones of skepticism. The first zone is it is unaccepted, right? The first thing people will say, oh, this is not going to work for us, right?
Yeah.
Then comes the acceptable zone. Then comes the expected zone. So we're right now in the expected zone because we moved from unaccepted to accepted to expected. Now the sales reps are expecting it to do more. Right. So that curve has completely changed for us from one zone to the third zone.
That's a amazing adoption, Arvind. And one important thing is as well that, there is a lot of training which goes into, the training the people for adapting, when it comes to the change and change management. That's very critical, I believe. And when follow-up question, Arvind, is, uh, at times, implementing AI in a large scale in your organization is particularly, sometimes it is intriguing. Folks could be concerned, because of, too much knowledge available over the, internet. And how did the organization perceive this change? What was the feedback like in the early days of, when you are socializing this, implementing and, disrupting certain things, how the things are done?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
over a period of time, how did it evolve?
Yeah. We did not position this as a disruption. We actually positioned this as an enablement capability, right? So we said, hey, this is going to help your job. It's going to help you to do things faster, better, smarter, right? Rather than disruption. Our focus at the beginning was not return on the investment. Our focus is to increase adoption and usage, right? So we never got stuck into this world of, hey, am I getting the return on the investment and quick return on investment? That cycle, we were not chasing that cycle at the beginning, right? And focusing this as an enablement platform, because we constantly let the message out that this is going to help you. It's a helping,
Yep.
right? And that's why we call it an assistant. So it is a Riddell intelligent assistant. So that's your assistant to help you rather than disrupt what you're doing. So I think the way you message, the way you do it top down, because you have to have a leadership team that is fully committed, and then don't chase the quick win return on investment, which we will get return on investment. I mean, we're all very passionate in striving towards return on investment. But if you start chasing it in month one, month two, month three, you are only going to get a lot of disappointment, because you need to hit a certain level. As I said, you have to go from unaccepted to accepted to expected. The return on investment will come when you are in the expected zone, because then you start, proactively the customer is asking for, right? That's when you start seeing the return on investment jump, from negative to more on the positive side.
Yep. Excellent, Arvind. And and I have a question on the, the technical implementation side of, the AI. In general, AI, the testing and implementing is little different from, traditional a digital transformation project or a ERP implementation. How, you went and, tested or validated the, the initiative, which is very different from, a traditional application or a ERP. How did you go about it?
Yeah, it's a traditional, and obviously we all come from the traditional world. 30 years, you absolutely, we started our careers with mainframe and COBOL and all
Yeah.
that, right? So traditional systems, the testing for traditional system is to really look deterministic, and it is predictable output. So you're looking for a predictable output, right? In AI, you are not looking for predictable output. You are looking for probabilistic output, and it has to be iterative. So when it comes to testing, we actually focused on continuous validation, not one-time testing. So we didn't have, right, typical waterfall way of testing, like you do a sit, you do a UAT, and then you roll it into production. We actually did continuous validation, because validation, the word validation is very, very important when it comes to AI, because we've heard all the negative side of the AI, right? The
Yep.
hallucination and everything else. So validation is important. Human in
Yeah.
the loop feedback, absolutely important, because we
Yeah.
want to make sure that there is a human in the loop to really look at the data and the feedback. And then quality of decision making is important, measuring that, and not just the system accuracy. We were not looking for accuracy, but we were also
Yeah.
looking for the quality of decision. So I think those are the three lessons learned, but definitely AI testing has to be, in fact, I would love to call this as validation rather than testing. We're not testing for a predictable output,
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
right?
Absolutely, Arvind. I mean, it's totally different. The feedback loop. From the users over a
Yeah.
period of time. It will adapt, it will learn, and it will give best of the best results over a period of time. You know, would you say
Absolutely.
AI? I mean, follow-up question, right? So, would you say AI projects require a different kind of testing?
Yeah.
And if so, what do you suggest for the leadership teams, leaders in the call, how they should adapt and take it forward in the
Yeah.
organization?
Yeah, I think create a continuous validation team, right?
Yep.
Definitely you should do not just one-time testing. It's not like we are going to do one-time testing. We're going to do continuous. Definitely create human in the loop for the feedback. Definitely look at quality of decisions in addition to system accuracy. Why system accuracy absolutely is important, right? If one plus one has to be two, if one plus one comes as three, obviously you're wrong, right? One plus one has to be two, but it's also the quality of decision that is required. So look at it from that angle and implement. I know we call it as as a continuous validation, but definitely implement a continuous validation team that can validate the output of AI along with the human in the loop to make it successful.
That's a thought-provoking, the answer, Arvind. I want to zoom out from, the use case and the implementation to, see how, organizations journey for a moment. You have had a lot of conversation with your peers, the fellow CIOs, in either manufacturing or other industries. What are you seeing across the industry? You know, what is the general feedback?
See, there are certain industries only run because of technology, right? There are technology pivoted industries, right?
Yeah,
For example, if you take any services industry, banking, insurance, they all run because of technology. That's the
technology. Yeah,
main input. Manufacturing traditionally has been a lagger, traditionally,
yeah, yeah,
right? They've been a late adopter. But things have changed extremely fast in the manufacturing world, because manufacturing we always thought is all machines, right? People and
yeah,
machine, men and machine coming together, right? But that's history. Now that's changed a lot. The reason is those machines that are in the manufacturing floor themselves have become very smart,
yeah,
right? They are now AI is embedded into those machines, and I talk to large manufacturing organizations, right? They are doing cutting edge AI work when it comes to the manufacturing side of the house, because it's these equipments have become very smart.
yeah.
Right now, if you have a smart equipment, you put a smart system and you put a smart capability to handle it, then your AI is embedded there, right? So from a manufacturing standpoint, it's no more experimentation. It's actually happening. Uh, Manufacturing is leapfrogging when it comes to ROI, especially around three or four things. Number one, around quality, right? The whole idea of quality control, quality management, quality assurance in the manufacturing, in a manufacturing vertical. There's significant AI in that space.
Yep.
Forecasting, because manufacturing is all about getting your forecast right. Otherwise, you're going to have large amount of discrepancy between the the demand and what you can produce. So
Yep.
forecasting, AI is embedded there. And then obviously to deal with supply chain, because we are dealing with multiple partners on the other side, because you're not going to make everything, right? You are totally dependent on supplies that are coming in. So I think those three areas, I see a lot of AI now being embedded: quality, forecasting, and supply chain.
Absolutely, Arvind. And there is always a talent gap. You touched upon an important point, like the industries which is heavily dependent on technology and service sector like insurance or banking. And when it comes to manufacturing, we see very few data scientists relative to the tech companies, and that has been the biggest barrier, I believe. And if you pick one department in manufacturing, which is extremely ripe for huge disruption um, using AI, and what do you think that should be?
I think demand forecasting and inventory optimization, which is a core function in the manufacturing world.
Manufacturing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a core, right? That's a core of it. I would take that as a extremely ready. It's a big, because two or three things happening. One, there's significant amount of cost involved in that, right? That's follow your dollar principle. So if you take, that's where your dollars are, because your inventory is where you actually your dollars are held up, right?
Yeah.
And the second thing is, uh, the amount of data that is there in this particular space is enormous. You not only have historical data, you also have other empirical data that you can use, because AI works good when you have data.
Yep.
And now in the manufacturing area, in the demand forecasting and in inventory optimization space, uh, there's so much data that is available for us to make use of, right? And anything you do there, even a small percentage improvement in this is going to have a significant benefit for organizations.
Absolutely, Arvind. Yeah. And when you're talking to your peers, and is there any particular AI use case that surprised you the most when a peer said this is working amazingly different than they thought?
Yeah, yeah. I think we're seeing use cases in customer experience space that is coming up quite often now, which is like surprising, because when you come customer experience, obviously our standard belief is that, right, you use user experience, and you use you provide a better customer experience for your customers. But embedding AI into customer experience and really changing some of the behavior of the customer, AI can actually start looking at the behavioral side of the customer, and start predicting some of that. I think that's a aha moment to say, hey, that's interesting. We always had AI in customer service. We always had AI in our back office. This
Yep.
is AI in the front, and really helping us in, like, dramatically reimagine the customer. Reimagining the customer experience using AI is a big aha moment right now.
Wow. Amazing, Arvind. I want to touch upon one important topic is the tech stack. Uh, you
Yeah.
know, See, you have SAP as the system of record, and you're in the process of upgrade. But the implementing AI is not a choice to wait until you complete the upgradation and all. And there are so many the tech leaders and supply chain leaders on the call, uh, and manufacturing, the core, the system is SAP. What we hear and what we saw talking to multiple CIOs and the supply chain heads or procurement or the plant managers, and they all have SAP ECC and old versions of SAP. And there are so many SAP which are like laggards, like they have no plan to migrate. And what do you suggest implementing the AI and integrating with those versions of SAP?
Yeah, yeah, we're very interested. We are in this exactly the same, or we were in the same boat a couple of years back, right? We are traditional ECC users, have been using ECC for the last 17 years, right? We're still in the process of upgrading to S4 HANA. Obviously, S4 HANA will be on cloud. S4 HANA will give us some of the promise of AI that is not available for ECC users. So I think quickly, if you are an ECC user or a leader who's got SAP ECC for your or SAP for your ERP, start thinking your ERP is not as a system of record. I know a lot of us thinks it's system of record, right? That's
Yeah,
how it all starts,
that's a
right?
traditional.
I think we should start thinking about SAP as system of intelligence. It has got so much information that you got to turn SAP into system of intelligence, and you got to find ways to make that pivot change from system of record to system of intelligence, right? When system of record typically, standard, right? You have your MRP, you have your URP, you have your inventory, you have your processes, defined and running in SAP. But think about how do you then convert that from there to system of intelligence? Can you do it within SAP if you can? Or you may have to build outside of SAP and really turn that into a composite system of intelligence. So that's the approach that we took. So we actually built our intelligence assistant outside of SAP, but still has all of the SAP data that is required. So data comes from SAP, but we have enabled intelligence outside of it. So think about it's a wrapper. It's a wrapper that sits on top of the system of record and makes it into system of intelligence.
Excellent, Arvind. And one very interesting question, I mean, you have a beast, on one side, the SAP complete a large scale implementation, and it has, the data for several decades. And on the other side, you have latest systems like, the entire Microsoft stack or Google stack. And you take procurement Coupa, and how you integrated, how you brought data from the complete siloed systems, starting from your email and Teams chat, and conversing and bringing that into a CRM, and bringing them into the AI, and making sense, and combining all the data from different systems. How you went about it?
Yeah. So we created our data pipeline. So there's data that is coming from variety of systems. So system of record data comes from SAP. Our marketing data comes from marketing information systems. Our pricing and promotion comes from a pricing and promotion engine. Our what we call as standard content comes from our standard content repository. So we have taken a pipeline approach, taking all of the data from various source systems. Obviously go through a process of extract and transform and right all of that is required, and then move them into a Microsoft platform. So we have moved them into a Microsoft data lake. Eventually, I think we are going to go to Fabric. So sometime in the future, we will go to Fabric. But right now, we are on a Microsoft data lake. And on the Microsoft data lake is where we apply Microsoft's AI Foundry and all the various aspects of our technology around AI runs within that particular platform, right? So we use semantic kernel, we use graph API, all the variety of technology components that are required to make it work. But the data itself is pipelined from different sources onto a single data lake. Which has worked quite well. I think your team did a fantastic job of really modeling it out as to what is required from source to target, because getting the target model is not an easy. I wouldn't say it's an easy task. Getting the right target model is the crux of all this. Applying AI on top of that, then it becomes just how you architect it. But getting the data model, underlying data model, is the most important part of any of the AI journey. So
Yeah.
in our case, we moved our system of record to system of intelligence using these pipelines and the data lake technology itself.
Excellent, Arvind. One interesting and important question, Arvind, is if you give garbage to AI, we get garbage, but the real valid data, and in the way we look at it, is really important for the systems.
Yeah.
And how did you put the security and the guardrails and personal graph, the knowledge graph, and how you integrated the documents and policies, and particularly, I mean, do you emphasize on the governance of the overall system, and rolled out into the production? How did you do that?
Yeah. So there are three aspects of that. There's an aspect of what we call as a governance framework. So first of all, we have we have a well-documented AI policy within the organization. So there's unambiguity when it comes to what AI will do, what AI will not do, how AI will be used, how AI will be measured and governed. So an AI policy that is available for every business function and every business person in the organization. That's number one. Number two, simplify your security aspect of this. We have relied on Microsoft and all the security technology of Microsoft to be our only technology that we will work with. So we have really simplified it because we can. This is almost like you can catch this in many different ways. People are always looking for what is the next best thing. We've actually looked at Microsoft to be our partner when it comes to anything around security. So all of the security elements that are available in Microsoft, we have leveraged that. That's number two. And number three is a very clear uh, traceability of who has access to what is very, very important, right? A lot of this
Yep.
you can define in a piece of paper, but you got to make sure you're implementing it. So in our case, right, an account that is mapped to a sales rep who's mapped to a sales manager mapped to a regional manager, and within the account, right, the mappings, whatever security mappings that are there, are fully traceable within our system. So
So,
traceability becomes very, very important, and we make sure that we're able to fully trace. And that's why I said the validation, the testing, we also call it as continuous validation, is not just validating the outcome. It's also validating a lot of these aspects, whether your security testing is happening, right? Whether you have the right access to right data. So a lot of that is also done during that continuous validation.
yep. Amazing, Arvind. That gives a lot of leverage and a lot of opportunity for an organization, system of record to system of intelligence. That's excellent. Arvind, we are in the last, quadrant, 15 minutes, and last 5-7 minutes we'll spend and take questions from the audience. And we have time for, like 3 or 4 questions more. And
Sure.
I want to make sure we end the clearest possible answer to the question on every leader's mind. What do I do next, right? And to the leader who says, I'll wait and see. Hey, I'm not there yet. Organization is not there yet. Data is not there yet. Team is not ready. I cannot train my entire organization to be an AI and implement a project. When there are different thoughts and different approaches to how organizations think, and particularly large organizations making a shift, making a 180-degree approach to how they go into the technology takes time. And what is your suggestion in one sentence,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how the next decade is going to prevail and help them to adapt and change and stay relevant?
Yeah, it's a deep question, right? If you really look at this,
Yeah,
this is
it is very deep.
my my true belief, right? My personal true belief is AI is not a technology journey. Do not start this as technology project, please, right? We've told this, last 30 years. I've been very clear, right? Don't start as a technology journey. It is a decision transformation journey. So really change your pivot, change your messaging as leaders to a decision transformation journey, right? Because you want your customers or your stakeholders to really be enabled to take decisions faster, better, and smarter, right? So if you take those three angles, please change that to decision transformation journey. Uh, don't start with AI, start with the friction. Start with a business friction, right? You will find an answer. The answer is going to be not just AI. The answer is going to be better process, right? Better, better insights, right? Better intelligence. But start with the friction, and I will go back to the three dimensions, right? Definitely follow the dollar, follow the noise, follow the compliance, right? Start with the friction. Don't start with AI. Don't tell that I want to bring AI. Start with the friction, and then the answer is automatically going to come. That AI is going to help you address that particular friction that is there. And always start with decision transformation. Don't start with an AI technology journey. And also don't start with ROI. If you start with ROI in the first step, you're going to get stuck in the first step because you're not going to go beyond that first step, right? Start with end to end. Start that you're addressing a friction, and then you can actually prove the ROI. Then you can scale very faster. So many times we have stuck in the ROI discussion.
Yeah. Arvind, one important thing, right? When we talk to certain leaders and certain organizations, some of the AI implementations, they said it is, taking more than a year and a half, and it is still not in production. And we did like, 10 different POCs and pilots, and we are not sure which one to go into the production, which one is, ripe for implementation. And start to finish, how long it took, Arvind, for you, to implement and put it in production, particularly?
Yeah. So if you think, I think we are our first version of our intelligent assistant, I would say less than 6 months for us to
Wow.
complete that, right?
Yeah.
End to end, less than 6 months, which is turning a system of record to system of intelligence, developing whatever that is required from an AI standpoint, right? That's less than 6 months, and we have not stopped there. We've already gone with the next version and the next version, so we're already thinking what our future will look like. So yeah, it's aggressive. In today's world, trust me, all leaders like it. We
Yeah.
unless we are aggressive
Yeah.
and we are looking at this way,
Yep.
it's time is running under our feet. This is my belief, right? Under our feet, time is running, and today we have to look 3 4 5 steps ahead of our curve
Yep.
to really be even sustainable. So I would suggest each of the leaders to start looking at this as uh, don't think about a proof of concept, proof of value. We've done a lot of that. That's already proven. I don't think there's any no need for us to prove anymore, right? It is picking up that friction point, right? Doing it, right? Rolling it out. Don't measure ROI in the beginning, right? There will be a time when ROI can be measured, and then ROI will be there, and there'll be you'll have an ability to scale in the future.
Yep. And we are not just in the era of, creating an agents, it's an agentic AI, but we are in the era of, organization creating a HR department, for AI agents. This has evolved to the extent that, organization need a policies for agents. So that is the rate it has evolved now.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's a lot of things are happening. I would say there are 2 or 3 dimensions of the disruption that is happening. Number one, the software technology and the platform itself is becoming more and more smart with AI, right? SAP has become smarter with AI. Oracle has become smarter with AI, right? Salesforce has become smarter with AI. ServiceNow has become smarter with AI. The underlying platforms have become smarter. That's number one. Number two, the machines that we use have become smarter, right? Anything that you use today, whether it is a manufacturing machine, a packing machine, a knitting machine, whatever be that, right? Whatever has become very smart. So the machines have become smarter,
Absolutely.
right? We as users have become smarter because today
Yep.
I turn on my phone, everything is AI driven. My WhatsApp is AI driven, my Facebook is AI driven, my Instagram is AI driven, my Google search is AI driven. So we have become smarter, the machines have become smarter, the software platforms have become smarter. Now it is our ability to put those three together to help our business to become smarter.
Yeah. Knowledge and intelligence, it's democratized.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
We have two questions from,
Sure.
the audience, and I'll take one. What are the other SAP core modernization use cases that are on your radar now?
Yeah, yeah, good question. Since we are moving from SAP ECC to S4, and we are in the process right now, we are also looking at what other things we can do with SAP Joule, AI Joule, and S4. So we have looked at roughly about 8 to 10 areas. Finance is one where we have taken supply chain. We have also taken order to cash. We have taken warehouse management. So we have taken various aspects of our business functions. And as a part of S4 HANA, we are going to be bringing some AI capabilities. So our S4 HANA journey has 3 outcomes, right? One outcome is to get better processes, simplified processes. The second one is to have better user experience. And the third one is to really have intelligence built into S4HANA as well. So we have taken about 8 to 10 use cases, primarily around finance, supply chain, order to cash, and warehouse management.
Amazing. Arvind, one second question from audience. Can you elaborate, you touched upon the customer experience, right? Ripe for disruption in use AI. Can you just elaborate on your point of view on using AI, particularly in context to manufacturing and your business?
Yeah, yeah. Customer experience, to a very, very long time, we thought about, giving them an easy system to use, reduce the number of clicks. Remember all those things that we said. It has to have better user experience. You need to reduce the number of clicks, right? You need to get things done in 3 clicks, right? Now that's the old world. According
Yeah,
to me, the new world, which AI infused experience will drive towards things like, it's not just uber personalization, it's a real time personalization, right, based on who the persona is going to be. That's number one, right?
yeah,
Number two, that you're going to look at is suggestions and prediction, not just based on historical information but based on a model that will be much more enriched rather than historical. Normally, if you go to a website, hey, in the past you bought this, right? You bought this, now I'm going to suggest you this, right?
yeah,
It's based on historical. I think with the AI infused experience, it's not just history, it's also based on the need, on the current need of that customer. So identifying the current need of the customer and embedding within the customer's journey makes it even more compelling for the customer to buy. So we're calling this as almost the art of the whole customer's journey gets changed based on what AI is now able to predict, because it's able to get a lot of data about what the customer wants, needs, has historically bought, everything else, and can now create a journey which is very dynamic in nature, right? So it's almost like a behavioral change of the customer. So I'm more calling this as a behavioral science, that how can we change the behavior of the customer
yeah.
and really drive the journey based on need and want, rather than based on historical sales.
Yeah. Awesome, Arvind. I mean, basically what you're saying is, you using the AI, you can, personalize and, provide best of the best customer experience.
You can change the behavior of the customer. We're even saying
Behavior.
that
Yeah,
the behavior of the customer can be changed because AI is so powerful that it can bring data points and build a journey so unique
yeah,
that
and
that wasn't there.
yeah. And then, customer, they themselves might not be aware of, certain things.
Correct.
That's a little
Behavior
bit.
change, right? It's
Yeah,
almost changing the way your behavior,
yeah,
right? And
absolutely.
it doesn't start with while it starts with history, it doesn't end with history. It takes everything into account.
Amazing. There is a question from
Yeah.
Bala Satasivam. Uh, what are the key policies for AI adoption with respect to SAP within the organization? What challenges does your organization face in AI transformation, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I think with respect to SAP, I think SAP is still the system of record. So you want to make sure that your single source of truth is SAP. Don't try to create another source of truth. So that's a no. You don't want a multiple sources of truth, right? So whatever you do outside has to still go within SAP. So that's number one goal. If you don't achieve it, then you have multiple sources of truth to deal with, which is a chaos. And in terms of AI challenges, I don't know if it's a challenge, it's an opportunity, is prioritizing, right? You guys to prioritize. And that's why I would go back to capability to prioritize what is important, right? Find that friction point, right? And then prioritize it, because there will be times when, let's say not now in the initial stages, but in the future stages, there will be competing demands, right? There will be every department would like to do something, and every department wants to do slightly different, right? Which is has to be controlled. Otherwise, you will have shadow AI technologies and shadow AI projects and platforms that we will have no control over. So we got to avoid that shadowness of this and kind of bring everything together so that you can prioritize. So within our organization, we have created something called Red Zone, which is going to start looking at how we prioritize our investments into AI platform. So that's going to help us as we move forward.
Is the purview is like setting up the governance,
Governance,
guardrails.
investments, prioritization, right? In fact, we have something called Horizon. That's what we have created, which is our AI playbook, which addresses AI in three layers. So there is AI for everyone, then there is AI for business function, and then there's a third layer is AI for competitive advantage. So this red zone is a cross-functional team that actually oversees governance, investments, prioritization, and outcomes.
Awesome, Arvind. We are left with 1 minute, Arvind,
Sure.
and we have 10 questions. Obviously, we cannot answer, and I'll get these questions answered. Probably we'll send them an answer one-on-one.
Sure.
And do you have any closing remarks, Arvind?
Yeah, I think a closing remarks, I think is very, very clear. More you wait, it's more you're going to feel the pressure, right? That's very important.
Yeah,
I would suggest is, find the friction point. Don't spend a lot of, we've actually, gone over this return on investment significant, right?
yeah,
Try to prove there is an ROI. There is an ROI. We will get it. It's only going to come when you move from unexpected to expected to unaccepted to expected zone.
yeah.
So don't put a lot of effort in the beginning, but definitely identify the friction point and address it end to end, which essentially would also mean that AI is not standalone. It is along with other parts of the frictionless work that we want to do.
Thank you, Arvind.
Sure.
And we are at the end of the session.
Yeah.
And what we have done today is trace a complete arc, a time and motion study in a sales organization through a predictive analytics and in operations, all the way to what AI leadership looks like when it goes to the next 5 years. And we will share the high performance AI playbook. Maybe organizations can take some nuggets from call to action. Thank you, Arvind. Thank you, everyone, for taking time to attend today's call. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Yeah.